Welcome back to another snapshot video looking at something non-FPS and a little different. So today we have Mordhau, which isn't an FPS, unless you count the bits in first person where you shoot at people, which I don't. Okay, yeah, so there are FPS elements. In the main, you'll have some hefty lethal blade or mace in your hands as you charge with your friends into a whirlwind of flashing steel and fury. And like so many of these games, I wholly didn't expect to be playing it. I wasn't a huge fan of Chivalry. I know a lot of people did enjoy it though, but that game was released around 6.5 years ago now. So to find myself having played for a number of hours what some see as a spiritual successor to that medieval combat favourite has me a bit surprised. For whatever reason, I find myself having more fun in Mordhau than I ever did in Chivalry. I think Mordhau doesn't feel as dark as Chivalry did, and I mean that both literally and metaphorically. I recall a more gloomy aesthetic, getting killed an awful lot and then me not wanting to play the game anymore. Mordhau seems to have more levity and almost verges on comedy at times. You might even call it slapstick on occasion. I think it usefully helps to temper the brutality of the action too. This is obviously an up-close sword and shield combat played out right in front of you. An especially good example of this is the tone of the tutorial. There's some dark humour and funny voice acting to help set the tone for the game, but also to stop a full 15-minute long tutorial from being too dry. Yes, a full 15 minutes, because underestimate this game's skill ceiling at your peril. It may look like me mashing my mouse buttons and hoping for the best, and in truth that's honestly not a bad description of me during my initial hours with Mordhau, but the tutorial gives you a glimpse into the options and mind games that can be played out in this muddy landscape. There are different swings. Are they left, right, or vertical? Are they feinting, trying to get you to block early so they can attack freely? Are they morphing, transitioning one strike into another to confuse? And that's before we've even got to chambering. It's a lot to take in initially. That's why I'm happy to say that you can still enjoy your first hours in the game, feeling things out, getting a few kills, and working in some of the things that stuck in your mind. One way I've seen people suggest to learn is by joining duel servers. These seem to be almost refereed sub-fights within a normal deathmatch server. People signal to each other when they're willing to duel, and the refs are there to ban people looking to make a nuisance of themselves. I saw Lyric stream a bit, and it all looked rather agreeable, almost like a sort of gentleman's fight club. You could duel without worrying about being third-partied and work on your skills. Class customization is also a surprisingly deep affair, probably way deeper than you imagine for this sort of title. You can create your own classes. They use a point system to balance out powerful weapons like longbows or powerful perks that really boost how you want to play. There's no hint of microtransactions in this system though. Everything is unlocked with gold you get for playing, and from what I can tell, the gold game seems to be purely based off time played rather than XP. But even then, there are default uneditable classes allowing you a range of options. You can unlock most levels of individual items, such as light, medium or heavy armor. You might find that some cosmetic styles have higher gold or level requirements. This basically equates to not feeling like other people have better gear than you, but still needing to work towards getting some of the cooler looking stuff. Some people may want to say this is a grind or whatever, but to be honest, in a game like this, the joy is in the playing, not in the payoff. This isn't an MMO after all. The game modes are good. There's deathmatch, team deathmatch, and so on, but I've been mainly playing the objective-based mode called Frontline. It creates more of a front line between two teams and feels more structured to me. But then again, you guys know I've always preferred Rush to Conquest in Battlefield games too. There's a smattering of, hey, that's just BS, when horses or siege weapons kill you, but to be honest, it's a smaller, minor issue. There's also a PvE horde mode that I've not tried yet, but I can imagine kiting packs of AI around with your friends to firebomb or charge through might be a bunch of fun. There are some minor issues I've had. Probably my most frequent is not being able to tell my teammates from enemies. If someone is looking battered in a blue uniform, they look really, red. So yeah, I guess I'm saying sorry for the team kills. If I had to guess, I'd say that the devs might actually like that uncertainty, especially in the heart of a melee battle with multiple people. It serves to hype things up, and that confusion can sort of add to the experience. There is an indicator at the bottom of the screen for who your crosshair is currently pointed at, but it's difficult to read with peripheral vision when in the thick of things. As for cost, Mordhau is on Steam for a cent of $27 in the US and a penny of £23.80 in the UK. And as I say, there's no hint of microtransactions in the game. To say this game has been a surprise success is to underestimate quite how much of a success they've had. So many people played on release that there were server problems, issues tracking XP, gold, and so on. Though I must say that since I've been playing, I've encountered none of those issues in that regard. To quote the developers, "None of us would have expected this reception in our wildest dreams." They launched just 7-ish days ago and have seen concurrent users over last weekend peaking at 60,000 players, with almost 50,000 concurrent players on a Monday night. And they've sold just shy of 500,000 copies of this game. To put that into some context, Chivalry, the loved game from the same kind of genre, has an all-time peak of around 25,000 players. That was 2 years ago, according to SteamDB. Quite whether there's been a baying crowd of people after a medieval fighting game, just waiting for the hot new title to spring along, or whether the devs managed to accidentally release their game the same week that Game of Thrones had a massive battle episode, and that's all I'm saying, there's no spoilers here. So maybe streamers and everyone else just fancied the game after being all fired up. Well, I guess we'll never really know exactly. So is it worth playing? If you're okay with the price, and to be honest, it seems fair, and the concept of the game appeals, then I say absolutely go for it. As always, if you can play with your friends, it makes the game even more enjoyable. But to be honest, it's not the sort of game where you're playing side by side with your buddies that much either. That difficult to read friend and foe system means that it's easy to get yourself lost in the throngs of other people. Whining or cheering on Discord obviously helps make the game feel even better. Also, as always, this is on Steam, so you can play for under 2 hours or own the game for under 2 weeks and still get your money back. So if you want to give it a try, you have nothing to lose. Though I must say I have lost a number of limbs and my head a number of times in this game so far. I'll of course link the game's site and Steam page in the description below. So, have you tried Mordhau? Did you play Chivalry before? What do you think of this new title? Do you think I'm even pronouncing Mordhau correctly? Let me know your thoughts and feelings by leaving a comment below. Right now, I'll be reading every single one of them. Please do leave some feedback, a thumb if you loved it, a thumb down if you thought my swordsmanship needed some work, or perhaps even tap the old sub button if you want to help the channel grow and continue to make videos just like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.